Hello everybody, this is Gregory with How I Lost Over 100 Pounds and I've kept it off for 30 plus years. But there should be no hesitation in your weight loss and weight maintenance. Today we're going to talk about, and pause with the question, what sets you off? Now before we begin, if you need help with weight loss, contact me through the Clarity FM link found here in the episode notes. Also check out my 2 books, which you can find on Amazon, and I have 2 podcasts. One is health related called The Awakened Man, and the other one is not. It's on movies called The Cinema Rag, so check those out. All right, so what do I mean by what sets you off? Well, we've talked about here how a lot of things that have to do with weight gain or even weight regain, about 80 to 90% of people who lose more than 50 pounds will regain it and gain more back. We know a lot of it is based on emotion because we have a disordered relationship with food. That's the whole reason why we became overweight in the first place. Is that we don't eat like the dog eats, or we don't eat like the bird outside my window eats. They eat in moderation. And look at overweight dogs. Why are overweight dogs overweight? Is because their masters give them food. And they don't say no to that. And so they end up having a disordered relationship with food as well. But as a whole, dogs will just eat and then walk away. And that's the way we should be. We look at the toddlers. The toddlers do that too. Unless there's trauma, childhood trauma, whatever trauma, and then sometimes they use food to numb the pain. Not always. It could be another thing later on, like excessive TV watching, or if they're older, it could be alcohol consumption, drug consumption, shopping, whatever it is. But emotion is really, really pivotal in eating. And for some people, when they get emotional, they'll turn to food. Why not? Companies have mastered the bliss point. That kind of perfect ratio of sugar, fat, and salt. So if you're really stressed and you already have a predisposition and a proclivity toward food and junk food, big food is there waiting, just like, here it is, take it. Because of course they want you to get hooked on their product. And then So when I ask the question, what sets you off? Some people can be very good, and it's a lot of analogy here with alcoholism too. Like you could be on just a good day, everything's fine, and then something bad happens or something stressful happens, and then boom, like that whole frontal lobe regulation that you have is thrown out the window. Now you're in the hind brain, the midbrain, kind of the rat brain part of our brain, and now it's instinct, and you just go to that, and now you're set off, and any kind of reason, intellect that you have is thrown out the window, and you're just running to go get the junk food. So obviously this can happen to all of us. I have an 83-year-old mother. She's probably not going to be on this planet much longer. What will happen when I get the news that she's sick, or let's say she dies in the middle of the night? If I don't have things set in place, yes, I could lapse and fall into that, or even would be even more odd, drink alcohol and be drunk. I've never been drunk in my life. I could do that, but you have to have these things put in place, that contingency plans, the worst case scenario, whatever you want to call it, that happens to all of us, right? All of us are going to suffer, struggle, have problems, big things like a parent death, but even small things. Maybe you get yelled at work. Maybe you get yelled at by your spouse. Maybe you get bad news, your stocks are dropping. What is going to stop us from rushing to indulge in self-destructive behavior? And that's what you have to do. It's the same that we talked about, like steps to stop you from binging when you're in the moment of binging. Like you're driving to the car, you're getting in your car, you're driving to the drive-thru, you're driving to the grocery store. I've talked about this in my personal stories. Back in the day when I was binging, I'd get all the junk food. I'd be in the line. I'd be so impatient. I'd start eating the Twinkies even before paying for. And that's all rat brain. That's all rat brain. And I never unbroke emotion from eating. Luckily, I have now, but at that time, I had not. And so, what do you do to put things in there? I think to prevent you and stymie this kind of emotional feeling. It's kind of like the movie Turning Red. I'm not a big fan of this Pixar movie, but a girl learns that she's a red panda when she gets angry, so she's got to learn to control emotion. It's all really a kind of a metaphor for her having her first period. And it's the same thing here. She's got to learn to control. So we have to learn to control our emotions when it comes to food. So whether it be journaling, whether it be having an accountability buddy, we have episodes on here, I'll put the banners, whether it be that, whether it just be talking to just a family member, whether it be even, let's say you're going to get triggered for binge eating. I talked about how I used to leave my credit cards at home when I would drive to work. That way I would not be tempted to get food on the way home, whatever it is. But the best thing to do is always the same thing I always talk about. It's doing the deep work. What is the deep work? Learning to eat like the dog eats. Having an ordered relationship with food. And it is possible, guys, to go back to that. It is possible. It takes a lot of introspection, and you might have to burrow through a lot of pain from maybe your childhood, but it is possible. In the long run, it's the better option than yo-yo dieting, which we've all had. Because yo-yo dieting, crash dieting, you gain it back, you lose weight for the kid in bikini season, you gain it back, all these things. In the long run, it's statistically poor for your health. Tons of studies show that on yo-yo dieting. It's better to just do the hard work, right? Think of Three Little Pigs, that story. The first two siblings build their houses of hay and twigs because they want to go play. The serious pig builds it out of brick, even though it takes longer. But then once they do that work, it's got an impervious house. That's what we want. We want an impervious house where whatever sets us off doesn't set us off to go into disordered eating and disordered drinking. And that is the goal. That is the goal. That should be your 5-year plan like Stalin used to have. That is your goal. That should be all of our goals. Because once you hit that, and you are impervious, then your weight loss and weight maintenance will be infinitely easier in the future. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.